From panchayat to the parliament, everyone was asking for the caste census. And this is a very pertinent question in front of us, that why such crucial data had been not gathered by the government. Well, the government had given some justification. It's up to the citizen of this country that how they perceive it. Hello and welcome to the InNews series of Drishti IAS. I am Ritu and today's session is about the caste census. And in this session, we are going to talk about the caste census, why this particular thing is in news, and we are also going to talk about the nitties-gritties related to the caste census, what are the advantages, why such things are necessary, what are the background of the caste census. So we are going to talk about that. So here, what is the background of this whole discussion? The background of this whole discussion is that yesterday there was a CCPA meeting, and in that meeting the government has announced that they are going to enumerate caste in the upcoming census. So this is the news which we are going to cover up in today's session. So let's move towards to the discussion part. So we already had discussed that what is the discussion part, that yesterday there was a meeting, and in that meeting, so the meeting of the Cabinet Committee on Political Affairs headed by the Prime Minister of India, and in that meeting they had decided that they will enumerate caste in the upcoming what you can say census. And this was not just demand for 4 or 5 years. In last 5 years we have seen that so many political parties, especially the opposition political parties, had raised their voice that they need caste census, but this demand is not new. This demand is around 3 to 4 year old, and we have seen that when Kansi Ram was there, Mayawati ji is here. So all these people who had associated themselves with the Bahujan politics, Lalu Prasad Yadav, Mulayam Singh Yadav, all these people who had this base of the SC, ST, OBC population, and their political party is formed by such kind of the people, they had constantly raised the demand of the caste census. So this demand is nothing new, but after the independence, this is for the first time that one government has announced that they are going to enumerate caste in the upcoming census. And why caste census is important, we'll discuss in detail, but in short line it will have an overview and it will improve the social and economic structure of the disadvantaged section of the society. So this is the news. Now we'll discuss about the IAS Foundation course. So IAS Foundation course is available on both the mode, online mode and offline mode. So for offline mode, we have this Drishti IAS in Noida. So if you want to take admission out there, the classes are available in both the medium, Hindi medium and English medium. So you can call us on 87501 87501. Also, if you want to do it on online mode, we have this course available on Drishti Learning app. And in Drishti Learning app, under this course, we have upgraded few features just like AI summary, AI quiz, ask me a question, and all these features are very much helpful for your preparation. So do check that. Now we are going to talk about the caste census demand. So I had already told you that this demand is not new. Many of the leaders who had called themselves Bahujan leaders, and their political base is based on what you can say social justice based. So since Mandal, what you can say, when the Mandal politics came, since then only people had constantly raised the demand of the caste census. So this demand is not new. When you trace the history of the caste census, that when this particular thing emerged, so what you can say, when there was a census in the initial years by the British government, in that there was a column of the caste census, and until 1931 there was a column of the caste census, and we have data related to the caste till 1931. In 1941 there was a data collected on the caste basis, but it was not made public. And when India got independence, when we had this first census after independence 1951, in that we had this census related to the SC/ST population. But overall, if you talk about the caste census, so the matter of caste was silent in the 1951 census. And since then there was so much of demand, and we have seen that this demand led us to today that in CCPA meeting, the government had to announce that they are going to enumerate caste into the census. So this is the thing. So here, if we'll talk about the from census to SESC. So here there is one thing that so many people have this allegations that previous government had not taken any initiative to conduct caste census. So when there was a census of 2010, then so many opposition leaders, so many political party leaders had asked the then Prime Minister of India to conduct caste census, and the then Prime Minister of India had asked the what you can say election commission to conduct such process, but election commission has rejected, citing that there will be a lot of formalities, and our teachers, the primary teachers who are mainly responsible for conducting such kind of things, they are not trained. So if you talk about that, the previous government had not taken any step. After that, there was a socio-economic caste census in 2011, but there was so many data related to that SC, but that only caste data was remained silent, and that was not made public, and rest other data, socio-economic data, made public. So if you talk about that, the previous government had taken any steps, so they did took step, but the data didn't came, so there was no use of such census because people have no idea that where they stand, what is their number. So this is about the socio-economic caste census which had happened in 2011. So now we are going to talk about the cost and outcome. So we had already discussed that rupees 4,900 crore, and the data was published in 2016, but caste data was not published. And even today also the caste data has not been officially released. So this was the status. We already had discussed this point. Now we'll talk about the recent developments. So when there was upcoming election in 2024, the current what you can say leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi had asked, and what you can say their main motto of the election was to conduct caste census. And this was not just demand of the Rahul Gandhi's manifesto. We have seen that RJD manifesto had also talked about it. Tejasvi Prasad, who is a leader of RJD, who had consistently raised his voice for the caste census. Samajwadi Party leader, what you can say, they had also, Akhilesh Yadav had also raised his voice. Then there is one Sanchad MP, Chandrasekhar Azad had also led so many protests and so many movement for the caste census. So it is not just the political leaders who had raised their voices. The academicians, the social activists like Yogendra Yadav had also raised their voices for the caste census. So if we'll talk about that, this was just demand of the politician. No, this was not just demand of the politician. This was demand of the, what you can say, social activists. This was demand of the common citizen of this country. This was a demand of the academicians. This was a demand of the lay persons of this country. So if we'll talk about that, yes, in last 4 and 5 years, this demand had risen a lot, and in this election, this was a very hot debatable issue. As a result, that we can see that the Congress got benefited because they had consistently raised the voice for the caste census, and they Rahul Gandhi had consistently pointed out the low representation of the OBCs into various ministries, the bureaucracy and the academics. So here we can see that how the caste census has been become a tool for the election, and this was a very hot and debatable topic. And aftermath, we can see that this government has announced that they are going to conduct the caste census. Now we are going to talk about the state actions and central stance. So in the initial stage, if we'll talk about that, the current ruling political party do talk about that that they believe in caste census or not, or they are going to conduct in caste census or not. So they had not rejected vehemently that they will not conduct it. They cited that due to some technological and structural issues, we are not able to conduct it. Also, NCBC, National Commission for the Backward Classes, has also raised their voices, and they had asked from the government that we need to conduct caste census in 2021. At that point of time, the government had replied that we could not because of the lack of structure, because of the problems, because of the formalities. But right now what we can see that in 2025 the government had announced that they are going to conduct the caste census. So if we'll say that what was their earlier stance, so they were not completely against it, that they are not going to conduct it. Some political leaders were completely against it, but if we'll talk about as a party, so they were not completely against it. And in fact, in case of Bihar, we can see that BJP leaders had supported the caste census. If we'll talk about the caste census among the states, so Bihar has conducted the first, then we can see the Telangana and right now Karnataka. Among these three states, the data of Bihar and Telangana is out, and Karnataka data is still yet to come. So this is about that different state had also tried to conduct the caste survey. Now we are going to talk about the what happens now. So what is the current status of the 2020 what you can say census? So 2020 census is halted because of the pandemic, because the world was suffering from the pandemic, and right now the government is planning to conduct it. So let's see that whether when and whether they will conduct the census. But currently it is on hold because of the COVID-19. But right now the pandemic is over and people are waiting that there should be the census. And here there is a collection of the housing data and also the population enumeration. So this is about the census, this is about the caste census, and this is for the current stance of the government. Right now we are going to talk about that why caste census matters. So in the initial period of this whole discussion, I have already explained that why caste census matters. So what we have in the present now, that we do know the population of the SC/ST people, but we do not know the population of the OBC, and OBCs are assumed to be the largest population of this country. And we can see that in various RTIs, if we'll talk about the RTI related to the academics, RTI related to the bureaucracy, RTI related to the parliament, RTI related to the state legislative assembly, there is a meager representation of OBCs. So they need to represent it according to their population, and if they will have an idea, exact idea and accurate idea that they are in this number, then it will be helpful for the policy designing. The government will be helpful, and it will be a big help for the government that they are going to design policy, they are going to introduce welfare policies to the disadvantaged section of the society, and those seats and those everything which is unequal distributed, so that distribution should be equally. So in order to bring more equality in the society, the caste census is the need of an hour. So this would be the conclusion that why caste census matter. So in order to provide justice to the disadvantaged section of the society, we need caste census, and especially for the OBC population, because they are not adequately represented in all the arenas. Now we are going to talk about the practice question for prelims. The socio-economic caste census was carried out in which year? 2011, 2010, 2016, 2021. So this is easy one, you can easily answer into the comment section. I hope you like this session. If you have any queries related to the session, kindly ask into the comment section. And what is the highlight of this whole discussion? The highlight of this whole discussion is the caste census. What is the history of the census? What is the history of the caste census? And why caste census matters? This would be your main answer. So do practice it. Thank you. Have a nice day.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.